How to help a drug-addicted boyfriend. Open communication is the most important thing. It's not wrong to confront the person and ask them if there's a problem, but the most important thing is to see what their concerns are. And unfortunately, most of the time, the person who's using is already ashamed. They're already used to hiding and deceiving and lying about their use, and they're less likely to come forth. They can be in a state of denial. So the first step is to approach them in a gentle way, but to confront them and say, I know what's going on, your behavior is erratic, or I've seen the drug paraphernalia. To try to get communication open, though, in a non-threatening and non-judgmental way. There are no consequences of it. It's just more like, I care about you, I want to know what's going on, more in your life, and please include me in it. So getting them out of that isolation is definitely the first step to getting them help. The next thing to do is to see what they want to do about it. A lot of times they don't want help, or they feel there is no problem, and that is a very difficult situation because we can't force people into treatment currently. So at least getting the conversation going, and maybe speaking to a healthcare professional about it. That would be the ideal, but again, most active users would not be interested in seeing anybody about it because they like to hide what's going on. But if they're willing to get help for themselves, and that's the main thing, then hopefully they'd be willing to speak with your healthcare professional. Your family doctor would be the first port of entry there. Or an emergency physician if things are broken down. So to just let them know what's going on and to get the conversation going. There are drug treatment counselors out there as well, and they are probably the best equipped to deal with with this and to quarterback the situation, as to know where to get help. So as far as detox, rehab, monitoring, whether they can do inpatient or outpatient treatment or oral replacement therapy on certain opioid meds, they'll know best. However, some family physicians can't handle this. And the main thing is to look out for their own safety, make sure they're not a harm to themselves or others, including family members. The next thing to do is to try not to enable this user. So when I was in the height of my drug use, I took advantage of the people around me. I manipulated to get the drugs. Money is one way. Stealing drugs is another. I did that from my mother, who was not aware of it, and so making it safe in this situation, so we prevent the user from accessing or easily accessing their drug of choice. We don't want them on the street either, so it's a very difficult thing. So enabling is when we do exhibit behaviors that lets the user obtain their drugs. And that's a very difficult situation, but sometimes this requires some tough love and cutting them off until they're ready to get some help. The next thing is to see what their options are. So as I said before, there's many options out there, but will this person need some form of treatment? And this depends on the depth of their addiction. If they're just abusing it every once in a while and it's sporadic use and it's not interfering with their life, then I think in this situation that outpatient rehab could be helpful. Trying to stop on your own, sure, I mean that's possible, but what ends up with most users is they might stop for a certain period of time and they're doing well, but then some sort of stressor happens and they end up relapsing. So if there's this behavior of recurrent relapses, that's another telltale sign that rehabilitation is necessary. Detox is meant for people who are deeply into their addiction, and should they cease taking their medication or the drugs, they become ill. That's what the purpose of detox is. But some people are totally against it. There are some poor detoxes out there, some good ones, but that can be a barrier to getting treatment. Finally, rehab. Outpatient is generally for people who are new to the program, who have not had total disruption of their life. It has not fully fallen apart on them, and they can function in the daytime to go to rehab, and in the evenings back at home. It's also sometimes best for people who still need to keep their job going. But if the illness has brought them to the point where they've imploded and caused a lot of problems, it's interfered with their life, and there's consequences, now that's a sign that the full-blown addiction is going on, probably dependency. So if they stop taking the drug, they'll feel sick, and this is where both detox followed by rehabilitation as an inpatient or residential is helpful, because this allows them to not only get off the drugs but to learn some new skills. And this is the most important part, whether it's inpatient or outpatient rehab, is abstaining is only 15% of the job. 85% is to invoke changes in lifestyle to learn ways of coping with stress, but not resorting on the crutch and not going back to the drug use. It involves a whole latitude of things, from being open and honest, candid, brutal honesty, to sharing about what's going on, sharing their feelings, to reading about addiction and how to recognize relapse and relapse-like behavior. So there's a whole host of things that a person learns in rehab. But the main thing is to change their way of living, and this is done in the confines of a closed environment, so they're buffered away from the stresses of reality. This helps prepare them so when they are discharged, they can have a better chance of continuing abstinence afterwards. Finally, rehab afterwards is followed by some sort of aftercare program out in the community, and I engage one-on-one myself. It's once a week, and it's with other people who are in long-term recovery or short-term recovery. And I also attend a caduceus group, which is for healthcare professionals. Again, is for people who are in recovery. Speaking to a psychologist or some sort of therapist. These are the things that help maintain a good quality recovery and better chances of having an enduring good quality recovery. The final thing I want to say is going to 12-step meetings. So that's not for everybody, but that's what I do. And helping others. That's step 12, but giving back and helping others helps keep me connected. So it's a long-winded answer, but that's how we help our loved ones in recovery. So to summarize, is open up communication so they don't feel isolated, and encourage them to be candidly open, rigorous honesty, to see what it is what it is they want, because most people who are in the depths of addiction want to get help for themselves, but they're scared and frightful of the unknown. Then seeking advice from your family physician, possibly a drug treatment counselor. Sometimes they're better equipped than family physicians are. Then perhaps to make a decision about quitting at home, or outpatient rehab or inpatient rehab or detox, and finally followed by aftercare and ongoing counseling, and then giving back to the community. Thanks for listening.
We've helped over 1 million Americans completely recover from substance abuse. Call now at 1-800-615-1067. Call now.